first one to you, Mr. Niklas. So starting with you, historically, mobile networks have been pipes. Now we're talking about networks as programmable platforms. What does that really mean? What capabilities are being exposed, and what does it fundamentally change for enterprises?
A lot. And if I have probably to take a step back. This may sound offensive,
That's okay.
but I'm in the infrastructure business on my Ericsson side of the house.
Provocative. It's okay.
We are a complex bunch. We're a complicated industry. We thrive in complexity, and we like being different. And that is a problem for developers to engage with us. We've made it very difficult for anybody outside our industry to love us. So when 4G came around, it was a phenomenal platform for the digital transformation of consumers and consumer experiences. But the networks were largely a black box, not a resource that anybody really was able to tap into proactively. So think of SMS, voice, video were capabilities in the networks that were largely abstracted, dumbed down. So, of course, as an industry, we didn't think that was a great idea. Most of the value accrued to the over-the-top players, and the networks were not really in play in a real way. So when we designed 5G, the whole idea was that 5G has now a lot of more exciting capabilities that you can leverage both in the consumer, enterprise, and public sector dimension. But we also had to figure out how do you now make that accessible to developers at scale and enterprises. For Ericsson, that meant we felt a need to get our hands on a developer platform, so we bought Vonage. At the same time, GSMA started an initiative also in some kind of self-recognition that we are difficult, to try to bring operators together worldwide and bring down the barriers and expose those capabilities in an industrialized and common way. The Camera project was born, Network APIs, which is probably a horrible term, was born, and there was now a big movement around operators to standardize these APIs across networks. So that now opens up capabilities to developers. So our developers now have access to these new network capabilities in an open, intuitive, and programmable way. We launched a joint venture, among others, with Verizon. Google Cloud is part of it, to expose those capabilities and get going. We're live in 5 countries, the first 2 APIs. Why it matters is that the first network capabilities that we're now making available to developers, like SIM swap and number verify, may sound very rudimentary and very basic, but they are already having an impact in the financial services sector, where financial institutions, mobility platform providers can now reduce the friction of the engagement with a customer. You don't need to do the 2-factor authentication, which is not secure and it's a bad customer experience. So we're seeing the lead time of interaction reduced by 50 to 75%. The conversion is up by 10%. So there is already first impact, and we're just getting started. So that is where mobile networks now are starting to be available to developers on the enterprise side to build new exciting applications.
Why are mobile networks important in the AI era? And what does it look like when an AI agent moves from observing the mobile network to actually taking action? You know, we hear all this stuff about Claude Bot. First week it comes out, people are giving it root access. God knows what was like exposed for some of those early adopters, hopefully no large enterprises. But you know, you are trusting an agent to go in there and make changes, heal the network, do things like that. What's your view?
So I think if you start from the premise that AI, and I think everybody believes in the potential of AI, certainly if you run an enterprise or even public sector utility, AI has tremendous transformative power, so hands down. If you also accept the hypothesis that AI will never get to full potential without reliable, trusted connectivity, I think you will see how the two are mutually reinforcing, right? So we think of enterprise networks of the future as neural networks, where everything that can benefit from being connected will be connected. One stream is data upstream, feeding AI. Think of sensors, humanoids, AGVs, drones, all types of devices. We're kind of letting go of the iPhone paradigm. This is now, sorry, Pixel. We're now thinking about enterprise-grade devices. So it's dozens, hundreds of new types of devices feeding data in. And then agentic AI now becomes the force that can then make decision and execute physical AI. That again depends on those very same devices also being connected in a reliable, predictable way. So you can see that it's a match made in heaven. And of course, agentic AI on the infrastructure side, which is where you were going with your question, also has huge transformative potential. So already today, on our developer portal, on the Vonage side, 50% of the inbounds are from agents, 50. So it's developers working with agents that are kind of discovering capabilities on our developer platform, interacting with us. So that's a fascinating data point, I think, where you definitely see agentic AI come in.
So if you're saying 50% of the traffic that's coming across
Inbound requests on our developer platform today
are AI agents essentially coming in across.
And that's not a vision, that's happening today.
It's unbelievable.
And then you go from there, okay, now you're trying to build capabilities. So the enterprise agent then states an intent of a certain application workload that they want to action. The future, and I think, Jen, you're going to love this, we talked about it earlier. The future then is if that intent can be actioned in the network.
Yeah.
So the network has an agent that understands the intent and then will execute intent-based networking to deliver that service in the network. So AI is everywhere. So we build networks for AI. We use AI in the networks. And again, we like to think that connectivity is the glue that brings it all together, of course.
If I think of Vonage as a connectivity company, different flavor, right, from Verizon, what does it look like on your side? What's the real top pain that you're trying to solve or that people are coming in asking for?
It's different. I mean, it's different for different industries. So I'm maybe pick a different industries. Take utilities, high risk operation. It's the riskiest business or job in the US is climbing electrical towers, right? So I mean, the kind of things we're working with and piloting right now is okay. So that technician that's on the road, equipped with AR enhanced goggles, can now be supercharged. So you come to the site with computer vision, you can recognize what are you looking at with support from the edge compute and the hyperscalers. You can now siphon through all of the data to recognize what are you looking at, what is off, what is maybe not working as it should. You climb the tower. Now you can also then have overlaid information on what should you do to fix the problem. So your both hands are free as opposed to kind of filming with a camera and then talking to somebody to get the guidance. If you get stuck, you can have a remote supervisor, expert, come online and walk you through the procedure of what you're doing. That does a number of things. It addresses serious security issues with that line of work. I mean, there's obviously defense applications to similar use cases. You can work the pyramid, so you don't need everybody to be an expert because you will have access to experts online data, or a physical expert that can walk you through it. So this is, I think, a great interplay where you need, for that to be a secure experience for the technician, the network cannot be best effort, maybe there or maybe not. It needs to be a reliable resource, and that's the future when we're talking about quality of service. So that video connection needs to be assured with an SLA so that you know when you need the network, it's going to be there for you and it's going to perform sub 20 millisecond latency with a certain uplink download performance. And that's the future that I get really excited about, because and we're not too far away. So we're doing proof of concepts. We have demos in our booth. When that capability is available across carriers, then you can talk about resiliency, failover. That's a whole different ballgame where you can really bring the network assets to bear where they matter the most.
Before some of the stuff that we normally see on PowerPoints are actually starting to come to life. When you think of sort of some of the most ambitious projects out there, and this is for all you folks, right? As we're kind of wrapping up here, what is something today that feels super ambitious that, let's say, in 3 to 5 years from now will just be an absolute non-negotiable table stakes?
I mean, 3 to 5 years is a lifetime.
Yeah.
Right. But I think both in enterprise networks and carrier networks, you're going to be exclusively or almost exclusively agentic driven. Like I think that the idea of human operations will be close to a thing of the past within the next 3 to 5 years.
Bold prediction, Niklas.
Making network resources available against an SLA so that businesses, but also public sector, defense comes to mind, can move business critical, mission critical, life-saving workloads onto a wireless network and know it will deliver and perform for them. It's proof of concept today. That has to be mainstream tomorrow.
Okay.